Good evening. When I was an undergraduate student at Yeshua University, I took an interest aptitude test, which was designed to tell me what jobs would best suit my interests and temperament. The test suggested I would be a strong candidate for a number of careers. They included teaching, mental health work, working as a clergy, and the one that surprised me was serving as a police officer. That one my wife wouldn't let me do. I wasn't surprised by these suggestions once the test explained each one of the rationales for why it believed I would be a strong candidate for those fields. And as an aside, I think it's a good option for people who are thinking of changing careers or who are students to take a test like this so that they can find a career that suits their makeup. Because if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. In our Parshat, we have the description of the genealogy of Moshe and Aaron. And Rashi notes that the order in which they are listed in the Torah is arbitrary. Sometimes Moshe is listed first, other times his brother Aaron is listed first. And Rashi explains this is to show us that both Moshe and Aaron are equal. But at first glance, this seems a little puzzling. How can you say that they're equal? We know that no one is going to leave the level of Moshe Rabbeinu's prophecy. And no one's ever going to accomplish what he did. He brought us down the Luchos, he brought us down the Ten Commandments. He argued with angels, he split the sea, he performed the majority of the plagues, leaving Egypt. Aaron, no matter how great he is, you can't beat this kind of resume. Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, who was a major halachic decisor in the 1900s, he explains that they're equal in the sense that they both actualize the potential that God gave to them. Even though Moshe Rabbeinu accomplished more on paper than his older brother Aaron, God gave him more potential, and Moshe was expected to accomplish more than his brother Aaron was. Aaron was a wonderful Ohev Shalom and Rodei Shalom. He was a lover of peace. He was a pursuer of peace. He was able to bring people back together who'd been fighting for years when he thought the rift could never be repaired. Aaron was using his capabilities to the fullest. And Moshe wasn't expected to accomplish that. But they're considered equal in the sense that they both fulfilled the roles that God gave to them. Rabbi Feinstein says this is related to an interesting Gemara in Meseches Pesachim on Daf Nun Amud Aleph, folio 58. The Gemara tells us that Yosef, the son of Rabbi Yeshua, became ill. And not only did he become ill, but he fell into a coma. When he was revived, his father asked him, Yosef, what did you see? Yosef said that he saw the world to come. He saw Olam Haba. In his words, it was Olam Hafach Ra'isi. I saw a world that was flipped on its head. And the explanation for this is that he saw that famous people in our world were not given the time of day in the next one. They weren't impressive. Hoover, who? You mean the dam? George Washington, who? You mean the bridge in Manhattan? The fact that they accomplished stuff in our world was irrelevant. They were considered inconsequential. And yet people who no one knew were being held on a pedestal in the world to come. Yosef's father, Rabbi Yeshua, says, no, you didn't see a flipped world. You saw a world of clarity. Yosef figured that greatness in this world and in the world to come was flipped. If you were great here, then you checked off the famous box. You could only be famous in one domain. And that everything is flipped. If you accomplish something in this world, in the next world, it didn't matter. His father told him that no, it's not that it's automatically flipped. It's that the world to come has a different definition of greatness. Greatness is not maximizing, is not accomplishing. Greatness is maximizing what you were able to achieve. You could think of the distinction in terms of professions as follows. Imagine a bus driver. Now, no one really thinks that a bus driver is changing the world. But let's take a bus driver who does his job ethically and morally. He doesn't clock out before he's supposed to. He doesn't cheat on overtime. He shows up when he's supposed to show up. He does the job he's asked. He does it safely. He's courteous to people on the road. If he sees someone running behind him to try to catch the bus, he slows down. He doesn't try to splash pedestrians on the sidewalk like happens in New York City often enough. He avoids the puddles. He does the good job. He comes up to heaven. God says, this is someone who deserves recognition because he did his job. On the other hand, imagine a CEO. CEO makes billions of dollars a year in profit. And all the power to him. You know, they work hard. They put a lot of effort in. They deserve to be compensated. But in our world, we give them so much accolades. We give them so much applause because they donated a couple $1 million. A couple $1 million out of $3 billion is not that big of a deal. So when they get to the world to come, God says, okay, so you donated a bunch of millions. I didn't need your millions. You could have made a difference in the world. You could have helped hundreds of thousands of people if you would have donated a little bit more money and not been miserly unless they would give you a big plaque on the side of a building. So in the world to come, such a CEO is not going to get recognition. But God doesn't expect us to do the same things. Everyone has a different mission in life, and everyone has different tools to get their respective job done. A team cannot have 11 quarterbacks. Someone needs to catch the ball, someone needs to block, and someone needs to punt on 4th down. We all have different roles to play in life. Moshe and Aaron were equal in God's eyes because they maximized their potential, and they didn't try to usurp the power of the other. They didn't try to have a paragraph to do more. All they wanted to do was the best that they could at their role in life. Let us follow their example to maximize the potential that God gave us so we can make him proud. Have a great week.